Hello everyone, and welcome back to Goodford Model Railway. Been away for 6 months, but fear not, lots been done over that time. So, what have we been up to? As you can see here, there was once a Goodford depot, and this has now been converted to a mainline junction, which starts here, just coming out of the fiddle yard, and breaks off another 2 tracks, and that runs into a wider, bigger station. So the reason behind doing all of this, and as you can see, the drop down section that did have the fallow road system, that's all gone as well. So the reason behind doing all of this was twofold. The first thing is there was a struggle with making a drop down road, for those that don't know, that ran in front of the station here. It just looked out of place. It didn't look natural, and I felt like I was too far from the trains, and I couldn't figure out how to do the end bit here. So that's gone. I may add something in front of the station again. I also found that the station evolved a bit. It felt like it would be nice to have more platforms, and so rather than ripping up too much track, I've decided to have these 2 tracks, new tracks in the front here. They will be for running local passenger services, and then you've got larger platforms for longer services, charters, things like that, and then the 3 tracks for freight and things like that. And that all runs into the junction up here, which allows access from all tracks into the relevant tracks. I've always wanted a mainline junction, and I think that's what I've managed to achieve here. Yeah, so that's one thing I've been doing. The reason why I got rid of the depot is it was always a big struggle for me to understand anything about a depot. I'm not a railway person myself. I know nothing about depots, so I was trying to make something look right, and I didn't really know what looked right and what didn't myself anyway. I don't know how a depot operates. Don't get me wrong, the depot is a lovely place to display stock, but I never used it other than for running sessions, the odd YouTube video. And actually I just like watching trains run around, so to have more main lines and more places for passenger trains to stop probably works better. It's still a work in progress, as you can see. The back scene I've changed, I think 2 or 3 times. It's actually back to the original now, which I think I'm gonna buy again, put it over the top. This bit here, I'm not entirely sure what we're gonna do there. I think it looks a little bit unnatural to just have a town on top of the railway, so I might somehow try and put a large building there to disguise it. I'm not too sure yet, but the rest of it I think I'll keep as is. So the retaining wall is all gone. The reason why there was a retaining wall was because there was a station building on top of here, but what I will be doing is I've done an overall roof, so I'm going to experiment with that, maybe do a little bit of varnish spray inside so it masks it off a little bit, and I'll build another section, and then they will go and cover this bit here, and there may be room for station building here. As I said, I may extend out again, don't know yet. It's still all very much a work in progress. Yeah, not sure what we're going to put in front of the tracks down this bit either, but I just want to get it all working properly first. So that's one major change that I've been up to. As you can appreciate, it's taken a bit of time to do, but it's almost at a stage now where I can sort of get back to where I was before and carry on and make things better again. Outside of the scenic section is the second part of the layout, as I call it, which is the countryside. Not done a great deal here, except for change a lot of the trees for seafoam trees. I think they're a lot more realistic. I was a bit scared of doing seafoam to start with, but actually it's not too tricky to do, and I think the results speak for themselves. Still got a few of the old school sort of trees there. The pylons, I'm just going to talk as I spin round as I remember things I've done. So the pylons, I've moved slightly. They were starting to go a little bit wonky as well, so I actually screwed long screws under each leg into the baseboard and then super glued them onto that, so they've got a stable level base, each of them now. Other little things I've done, I've added some water troughs with some water pipe to go down to them. Where else? What else have we done? Did a few deer in the field, just the little extras really. I've changed the back scene here slightly to put more trees back on there. And then the house and garden, done some paving slabs under the greenhouse, still need to fill it with stuff. I forget what state it was in September, the layout, since I last did a video. So I've got the lights all working in the house, so I've run a 12 volt DC bus all around now. The cars, I've put, I don't know if you can tell on the video, but I've put lights in the back of the cars, I've put passengers in them as well. The Royal Mail van has got headlights in, but you probably can't see because of the lighting. And then this corner has changed probably quite a lot. So I've taken the back scene off because I don't think it worked. I've put another building in. I'm not sure whether it's going to be a church or an old church that's lived in, or an old schoolhouse or something. A few steps down. And then we've got the muddy path with the stone walling. A couple of cyclists there braving the mud. A few ramblers. And I thought it might be quite cool for the guys to be assessing why there's a massive crater in the baseboard there. But it's the details that I like adding, so like the dog poo bin and guy walking his dog and stuff like that. And then on this corner section here, we've added more trees. And then to make the retaining wall purposeful, we've started a road back here as well. So I just need to do some pavement on the road markings, and probably make the road a bit more realistic than just plain black. And I've done the underside of the road, so that signal there doesn't actually work. It's one that I managed to break, but you can't really see it anyway. So I've made the most of this junction here. As you can see, the junction actually breaks into there, so I've made it look like it's meant to. Yeah, so that's everything I've been doing on the countryside section, sweeping curve. It's almost finished. I'm aware that the sky behind the trees doesn't quite match the sky behind there. Not quite sure what to do about that. I might try and add a bit more sky on this bit and change it slightly. So yeah, I think for the most part, very pleased with that. I like just running stuff around and just leaving it sweeping around the curve. Still more work to be done in the garden. I think we've started off a little barbecue and things like that. I want to do some interior and detailing inside the house, but it's getting to that point now where I'm starting to add the little details that I think make a difference. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with it so far. The final thing, which actually took a lot longer than you might think, was mainly related to the fiddle yard. So I've built this shelf up here, which I find really handy for doing bits and bobs on. I've got a programming track and a track for the lock programmer as well. And that was the thing that got me back into the hobby again. So made that 3 or 4 years ago now, I think. So yeah, The main thing that I've been working on is ABC braking. Now, I didn't want to fully automate the layout, so I looked into iTrain, things like that. But I still want to be able to run trains just from the iPad. So what I've introduced is ABC braking, which allows me to stop trains at a constant distance. So there's a lot of cuts in the track on the fiddle yard, and if a train enters that track and the all train enter that track and then they'll stop right at the end of the fiddle yard track. You then program it into your control panel that when that track then we want the train to go again, then it shorts out the ABC braking module and the train will go again. There's lots of videos on YouTube explaining how this works. I think it's quite an old hat way of doing things, but for me it ticked a massive box, because if I'm sat around over here looking at the station, so I'm down here, then I kept on getting up to see where a train stops, because my fiddle yard is on the short end of the room. So things are very tight in the fiddle yard, shall we say. So things really ideally to make the most of having the longest trains possible need to be able to stop right at the end of the fiddle yard track. So now I can just stop a train in the fiddle yard and be confident that it will stop where it's meant to. I've also introduced ABC braking to the station, so trains will now stop at the station in exactly the same spot each time. It's not perfect, because if I stop to DMU, rather than in theory it's stopping in the middle down there, it will stop at the end here. And I'm aware that the iTrain software will do all this for you, but I don't want to get bogged down in spending my day programming a routine, things like that. I just want to be able to run it as a layout and have fun with it. So I've also put ABC braking on this signal here, so I can put that onto red and the train will stop in front of the signal. And I've also done it on this signal down here. So if that signal's on red, a train will stop in front of it, which protects this junction down here. So it may not seem like a major thing, but it took me a long time to figure it all out. The bit about shorting out the modules to make sure that the train goes again, I did use the point motor switches, the seat point motors, and I put the wires onto them and used them as switches to start with, but it became quite unreliable. So I've installed a load of relays which work off of the point motor bits themselves. Let me just whip this up and you can see under the board what I've done. So I use these modules for switching the points, and then plugged into them are other modules to override the ABC braking. I just realised there's actually none on here, but on here are these things which are auto frog, so that's something else I've been doing. So a lot of stuff I've been doing is sort of behind the scenes, so it's just to make running a lot more reliable. So the auto frog will automatically switch the frog on the points, because all the points are not initial frog, so you have to switch it. And I was using the point blades, or I was using the switches on these seat point motors, but actually the auto frog is so much more reliable, so I've been upgrading and adding all of those. So yeah, I think hopefully you've got a bit more of a view into what I've been up to. I've also put more display cabinets up. Hopefully they'll be filled up with a Curoscale 37 soon enough. Been slowly adding to the fleet of stock. I think I'll do a separate running session after this video to keep it short enough. So yeah, just to keep you guys in the loop and let you know I'm still here, still working hard on the layout. Sorry it's been a while since I've done an update. I keep chopping and changing my mind, and no doubt the next update will be a slightly different update as well. It'll probably be a completely different layout again. Yeah, so yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for sticking with it, and yeah, I'll catch you guys soon. I'll probably do a running session next, just so you can see a few of the new bits of stock in action. So yeah, take care and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.